Hello, everyone. Our signing day special here at BuckeyeHuddle.com continues with our recruiting capsules. Throughout the day, we're going to be running all these on every player Ohio State signs, give them a 10 or 12-minute breakdown, and talk about the recruiting process and abilities and everything else. We'll show a little bit of highlight film of every player. We are on to a very big name, a guy I think was a very important add to this class, and that is four-star California wide receiver Phillip Bell. Phillip Bell has signed with the Buckeyes, so he is now in the fold as Brian Hartline continues his impressive run with wide receiver recruiting. Phillip is a very highly rated prospect out of Mission Viejo, California. Committed at the end of August over programs like USC, like Penn State, like Tennessee, made an official visit to Georgia, made an official to Washington. So this was a really nice pickup for the Buckeyes against a lot of really good programs, a lot of programs that have done a good job with receiver recruiting and receiver development. So another fantastic win for Brian Hartline on the recruiting trail. Kevin, I think we had Phillip Bell on our radar for a long time during the process. We went through that period in the spring and summer where it's like, okay, like, are they going to get Decorian Moore? Are they going to be able to, are they going to be able to get Phillip Bell? Like there were like 3 or 4 guys they were kind of in on, and we weren't sure which ones were going to end up at Ohio State. And obviously Decorian Moore goes elsewhere. Phillip Bell was still out there. And I know Ohio State made a really good push over the summer for Phillip. This was an interesting one. There was like a lot of moving pieces this cycle with wide receiver recruiting.
Yeah, you really weren't sure what Ohio State's board was going to look like. You knew who they liked, and there was more than they could take because, I mean, honestly, that's kind of what you have to do in terms of recruiting. You can't sit there and say, well, we only like 4 guys and we're going to try and take all 4 of them. You got to have a little bit more depth in there. Obviously, Decorian Moore goes elsewhere. I mean, Vernell Jones. There were some other, or Vernell Brown. There were some other players that, kind of dissipated. But, Phillip Bell was always kind of on the board. And it was like, I mean, will Ohio State still be looking at that point? It wasn't a matter of that Phillip Bell was further down the list. I mean, high 4-star kind of guy, 6'2", $195. I mean, he is a really talented receiver. I know the competition he goes against because he goes to one of my rival high schools. So, I mean, not that I was a talented football player by any stretch of the imagination, but I know that Mission Viejo plays against some very, stiff competition there in the California, their CIF Southern section. So, Ohio State is getting somebody who I think already kind of has some of the coaching that you're going to need. It's going to be a lot more. I mean, you got to learn to block. You got to do a lot of this other stuff. But, Bell, in a receiver class that maybe there isn't like a Chris Henry Jr. or certainly a Jeremiah Smith or somebody that you can kind of circle. It's like, that's the main guy. Phillip Bell is really damn impressive.
Yeah, he's an excellent player. I think he's got a lot of versatility. I think he can play outside or in the slot, and we can kind of roll some of the tape here and you guys can get a look at what Phillip Bell brings. But again, I think he can play anywhere. I think he's talented enough to play inside or outside. He's a strong kid. He's 6 feet, maybe a shade over 6 feet tall, strong hands, strong build. There he goes. He makes a vertical play there. He can get downfield. He can run after the catch. He's, as I've mentioned, he shows on the huddle field physical. Yes, he's a very physically, powerfully built kid. Not easy to bring down after the catch, runs hard after the catch. And again, as you see on his film, you see him making plays on the outside. You see him making plays in the slot. There he does a little kind of like a half orbit motion type of thing and is able to peel back outside there, make a nice play. This has been one of my favorite receivers in the class. Ohio State targeted a lot of tremendous receivers in this class. They were able to get some of them. Brian Hartline signed another tremendous wide receiver class. But I always really appreciated Phillip Bell's game and was always a guy that I said, look, they can get this kid if they keep at it. And, we'll see who else they get and if that affects anybody's, opinions of Ohio State as well. Not just Ohio State's opinion of can they take another 1 or 2, but will that kid want to be in the class, with some other talented guys, or will he maybe take a path of least resistance somewhere else? Phillip Bell wasn't worried about that. Just got a very good relationship built with Brian Hartline. throughout this process. And again, I look at him as a versatile weapon who can actually really good red zone. You don't always think of slot guys as like elite red zone guys, but he really is. Like he and like Jackson Smith and Jigba was a little bit like that too, where really good in the red zone, because while they might be better suited for the slot, they're very physical. They are they're guys who can go up and high point it. They've the quick change of direction, which, when you're dealing in these little short areas of the red zone where the space gets really tight, that short area burst and quickness is super important. Phillip Bell has that. So I think it's a really good pickup for Ohio State. Again, he comes in, he's pretty strong already. I think this is a guy, wide receiver is a position we've seen over the years. You can come in and play early. Jaden Ballard just transferred out. There's not going to be a fifth year there. They're going to lose some guys, obviously, to the NFL here. And I know they have got their core, a good core coming back, but I think Phillip Bell can push a little bit as a freshman, Kevin.
Yeah, and you look at the the makeup of the Ohio State wide receiver room, and having somebody that can play inside, I think, is important, because you're going to have coming up here in future classes, some guys that are definitely outside type of guys. So, you want to make sure that when you have three receivers out there, that you have, the three that fit best, and that you have somebody that can play inside, and you have your outside guys. And Bell can fit that role, but he can also play outside. And, and that's the thing is, guys need to be able to show that they can kind of handle multiple positions at wide receiver for, when you get to the NFL and you only have 53-man rosters versus 85 or 105 or whatever. I mean, we can debate that one at a later date after signing day. But, I think that Bell's versatility kind of gives him a leg up on some guys. And there will be some other inside guys in this class. But, having the versatility of being inside, outside, that's not something that everybody's blessed with. At his size, I mean, he's certainly kind of a bigger guy for being inside, but I've not seen anything on his tape that leads me to believe that he can't be a good slot guy.
Yeah, another versatile weapon. Again, like Emeka Egbuka's that way too, can play inside, outside. I look at Phillip Bell as that type of receiver that can be moved around, and you do need those guys, because some guys are pure slot guys, some guys are pure outside guys. And I know Ohio State tries to cross-train and tries to get everyone to kind of learn how to play out of the slot, and that's great. But if a guy comes kind of ready to do those things, even better to get your best combination of receivers out there on the field. So I really like Phillip Bell's game. I've been a big proponent of his really for the last year and a half on the website. So this was one of my, I guess, personal kind of favorites in this class, just in terms of just watching him over the years and his abilities. So really important pickup. Ohio State recruiting continues, wide receiver recruiting continues to roll. Brian Hartline continues to show he is among the very, very elite recruiters in college football, and can go anywhere in the country and pluck a guy from any program. Again, USC, Penn State, Washington, these are school, USC's got a good receiver run. Washington's on a really good receiver run. Georgia was in there. They beat a lot of really good schools for this kid. So probably a kid everyone should be pretty excited about. So we will get into obviously more of these throughout the day here at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. It is National Signing Day for the 2025 class. I guess it's early signing period, but for all intents and purposes, it is National Signing Day. I refuse to be forced to use certain language, so I'm calling it signing day. So we'll have these throughout the day. We'll have all sorts of updates on BuckeyeHuddle.com for everyone as well. $4.99 for your first month, which will take you all the way through the second round of the college football playoff. Transfer portal. Ohio State's already had a couple guys hit the portal, so we're going to have all sorts of stuff coverage of that in your first month. Winter practice as they prep for the playoff. Will the Buckeyes get a home game? Rankings that were released Tuesday night would certainly indicate that Ohio State is in a very, very strong position to host a first-round playoff game. So we'll be there covering this every step of the way for you guys here on that first month at $4.99. But for those of you who are watching on YouTube and those of you who are listening on your podcast platforms, we appreciate you guys as well, and appreciate you guys your continued support of our channels. So thank you everyone again for watching and listening, and we will talk to you again very soon.